Welcome to EntreProgrammers Podcast, the podcast for developpreneurs, with your hosts, Josh Earl, Derick Bailey, and John Sonmez, the podcast where you get to be a fly on the wall listening to real conversations of three developers trying to tackle the challenges they face as entrepreneurs.
Hey, John Sonmez here, and I just wanted to take a quick moment to thank the sponsor for our podcast, SignalLeaf. Without SignalLeaf, we wouldn't have a place to host our podcast, and as you know, SignalLeaf is actually from one of our own here at EntreProgrammers. It is the creation of Derick Bailey. So Derick is actually the owner and creator of SignalLeaf, and it's a podcast hosting service. So if you are interested in creating your own podcast, go on over to signalleaf.com and sign up for an account today and check out how easy it is to get started. The thing I really like about SignalLeaf is just how easy it makes it for hosting your podcast. Of course, I have my own podcast, Get Up and Code, that I host at SignalLeaf, and I've been very happy with it. We're hosting EntreProgrammers there as well, and so thank you again, SignalLeaf, for sponsoring this show. And don't forget to check out SignalLeaf at signalleaf.com if you're interested in starting your own podcast.
All right, we're live.
Yay! So, who here has had a crazy roller coaster week?
look what I'm doing today. Yeah.
You started your day with scotch?
Starting the day with scotch. It's Scotch Friday today.
That's
Oh my
epic.
gosh.
I should go get a glass.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Oh, Glenlivet?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay.
What do you prefer?
My personal favorite that I absolutely love is Lagavulin. That's
Okay.
like personal. So good. Love that stuff. But I mean, Balvenie, Glenfiddich is good. Not a huge fan of Glenlivet. The 12 is like bare minimum acceptable. The 15s or older are a little bit better. But I really like the Balvenies. I've got quite a few of those.
I like the Glenlivet cask strength.
Yeah.
I forget what, Nadura, I think they call it.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. I've got a Lafroig 18-year in my cabinet right now. It's really good.
So, most important question: do you have ice in your glass, or do you?
No.
Okay, good.
No.
All right, we can continue talking then.
Yes. Putting ice in scotch it's like putting whiteout all over your screen because you made a mistake typing.
Yeah.
Like, what's wrong with you? All right.
So I think everyone's had an interesting week. So who wants to talk about what their interesting week first?
I've got like a
John's been
million
quiet.
things to talk about.
I want to hear what John's been up to. He's been quiet all week.
Yeah, I want to know why John is drinking scotch right now.
Well, I had actually. So it's kind of interesting. I had the 4th of July sale. Ended up doing really well, actually, really well. Like the last couple of days, especially the last day.
Yeah.
I think I ended up selling close to 40 copies of the course. So
Wow.
it was like a $10,000 sale, basically.
Jeez.
Nice.
Yeah. So that was pretty dang good. And that's, and we'll talk about lists. I was thinking, man, that's with my list of like 4,500 people. What if I had a list of 100,000 people like
Yeah.
But
Like a certain someone on this list nowadays.
exactly. But so that actually went really, really well. And I finished my book last week. But then on Monday, I was getting all the sales and everything, and then I was just super depressed, and I couldn't figure it out. I don't know if you guys saw my email that went out today yet, but
I saw it, but I haven't read it yet. Which
Yeah.
is like it always comes into my inbox right before we start this conversation.
But basically, I took this week off mostly. I was gonna play video games and just kind of
Right.
okay, I'm done now. Like I can relax and stuff.
Mhm.
And I was just I didn't feel motivated to do pretty much anything, even playing games or anything like that. And then I don't know, around Thursday, I feel better now. I feel fine, but I realized that the problem is, and I always forget about this, is when you complete a major goal,
Yeah. Yep.
you get post-goal depression. It happens all the time. Especially the bigger the goal is, the more effort you put into it, right? The longer it stretches in time, the worse that is. And I think a lot of it is part of it because you start to identify yourself with that goal. Like it becomes part of your identity. So when that's gone, it's like a part of you is gone, like your purpose is gone. Even though you've been looking forward to reaching this thing and you should be celebrating it, you end up hitting this. So it's just something like, I forget about all the time, but I need to remind myself, it's like, okay, this is coming and it's fine. It's just a cycle of phase, because I think it's possible, you get all kinds of crazy ideas there. You're like, man, nothing is meaningful. Everything sucks, right? I have a kind of I'm not a really I believe in cognitive therapy for dealing with like major depressions over the selective serotonin inhibitor or uptake inhibitors and stuff like that. But just understanding that this is a phase that you're going to go through was. So I think on Thursday I came to terms with that. It's like, oh, wait a minute, this is just like the natural thing that happens, and then now I'm back and I'm actually ready to I don't even want to go on vacation now. I want to start working. But I'm gonna force myself to take I still have some work to do, but I am gonna force myself to take a couple of months and really what I want to do now is focus on getting an eager, being so antsy that I just want to jump on something that I can't stand it anymore before I dive in, so that when I go, I'm ready to go. So even though I feel like I could go right now, I'm like, nope, I need to chill out, make sure I take the time, and then I'm going to hit it really hard. So
thinking back to... Go ahead, Derick. Sorry.
Nah, I'm just rambling. Go ahead.
Okay. Thinking back to that podcast that I sent you guys a while back about the creative cycle, like the flow state. John, it might be I think the way that you've always done kind of the just-in-time learning thing, which for your courses, since you were trying to be so productive with them, that made sense. But I'm wondering now that you can kind of relax a little bit more. I'm wondering if going into the cycle that guy describes might be helpful, where you're actually you do a lot of research on something up front, and you get to the point where you're like you're saying, you're raring to go, and you're like, just let me hit the keyboard, that's how I used to tackle feature writing when I was doing longer feature stories for magazines. I'd research until when I knew when I was ready to write. I just couldn't take any more research.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. I've kind of, along with that, I've also kind of figured out that I'm also going to combine things for now, right? When I was working phase, I was like, okay, no video games, focus on work. But now I'm like, okay, well, let's have something to look forward to for the day, and then let's get a little bit of work done. And that's a good mode for me to operate in right now to cruise. But the same thing probably with the research too, is it's because it's the same thing, super hyper productive, focusing on that. But the research stuff, when I'm writing or working on something, I'm figuring it out as I go so much, and it's a high stress. But to take the time to research, I think would, I've never had I guess now I'm hitting places where, when I sit down and write a blog post, I'm like, right? Whereas before, if you go back a year ago, I was like, man, bam, 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 I had all these ideas. Right. But it's kind of because you've got to kind of renew, you got to find more things to talk about.
I'm very much like you, John. I can't do research unless I have something that needs to be solved through that research.
Yeah.
I can't write blog posts unless I'm doing new and interesting things, or doing something at least where I'm trying to solve problems. I had 3 blog posts last week. I had 2 this week. I almost wrote another one this morning, but I realized I had to go do some other things instead. And so I'm solving problems now. I'm doing things. I'm working. So that's fueling all this other stuff that I want to do, all the research I want, all the blog posts I'm writing, all of that. So I'm very much the same way. I can't, when I try to deal with research for the sake of research, for the sake of learning something new, I have to be applying it somewhere. Otherwise, I'm just going to be floundering everywhere and not have any focus.
Yeah. That's how I felt. But I'm curious to try the other approach, to try and see, now that I have the breathing room, feel like I have it, and see how that works. Because it'd be nice to be able to.
I've tried it before, and I can't handle it. Honestly.
Yeah. But
I don't work well without constraints and goals.
I don't know. I'm in a very experimental phase, I think, right now, trying to figure things out. Like I have a little bit of the luxury to do it now because I don't have the gun to my head so much. So, but also other news. I did have a real successful blog post on Monday. I did a blog post about, do software developers need college degrees? Mm-hmm. And that kind of took, I don't know where the traffic came from, but I have like 60, 70 comments on that post, and I was getting like 10,000 page views a day on it. It's died down a little bit now, but I ended up getting like 300 email signups, which I know now seems so small. I told my wife, I was like, Josh is, oh my God, it's insane. And I was like, and I just got 300 email signups, and I'm like, wow, that's nothing.
No, I had like 15 or 20 email signups this week, and normally I'm like, heck yeah, and I'm like, I've had a constant stream of, nonstop stream of at least 10 to 15 people on my site for 4 days now, and I'm going, big deal. Josh has 5 million people looking at his site right now. Crashing the server.
This is the part where people listening to the podcast right now, they're rewinding. They're like, wait a minute, did I miss something? No, you didn't miss something.
Join us next week when Josh talks about.
Maybe we should talk about what Josh has been doing.
Yeah,
what Josh has been up to.
Yeah. So, all right. So, So I launched a giveaway this week, which I've done in the past. And I did. So in the past, I've done 2 different giveaways for Sublime text licenses. And those have gone pretty well. Like I did one, and I think the first one I did, I got about 400 email signups. And the second one, I got the blog post about it up on Hacker News, and so that one did well. I got about 1,400 email signups total.
Nice.
So so that was kind of the measuring stick that I was going against. And AppSumo, Noah Kagan's company, just came out with a new plugin called KingSumo Giveaways, and the plugin allows you to put up a giveaway, and then when people register, they get an email, and the email says, share this link, and you'll get more entries for the giveaway. So it incentivizes people to share and kind of encourages viral spread of your giveaway. So I decided to try this out this week. I launched it on Monday, and I didn't think too much of it. I logged into Google Analytics on Monday night, and I had 500 people on my website at once. Which is like, that's like front page. That's like top of Hacker News.
That's front
page of Hacker
News.
No,
I've been #1 on Hacker News before, and I've never seen more than 180, 190 from the #1 link on Hacker News.
Well, I'll tell you why, though, Derick. It's because your server couldn't handle it. Because it was slowing down. Because I've hit like 5. I've tapped out about 500 on top like #1 on Hacker News. It's about 500 simultaneous. And I had capped out at 200 before.
With my server, though, I'm running the same server setup you are, John. And I never.
Okay. It might depend on the time of day too. Like
I guess that's true. It depends on the time of day. Yeah. I didn't know. I thought maybe
500
before
people
you had to,
at once.
That's insane.
So
and you've been doing that for like an entire week now.
I felt. Well,
it went above that, right?
Oh yeah. I fell off the couch at that point. That was Monday night, and I was like, oh gosh, I wonder how many email signups I have. So I logged into KingSumo Giveaways, and it said I had like 20,000 emails collected. I was like, oh my gosh, what? I thought it had to be a mistake. Surely this has to be a mistake. So then I was like, this has got to be kind of the peak of it. This is a one-time thing. It'll kind of die down. Well, no, it didn't. It actually, the most I've seen is 750 people on the site all at once.
Holy crap!
And when that happens, when it hits that point, I start getting emails from people saying your varnish cache is erroring out, blah blah blah.
Yeah, that's a physical limit. Yeah.
503. I get 503 errors and stuff from the varnish cache.
And what are you giving away?
One license for Sublime Text.
What? One license for Sublime Text.
Yeah.
One.
So
That's insane.
So I've got. So we'll do this live. I haven't looked today. I'm actually at the point now where I'm afraid to log into my site because
You've got a
well,
million.
for one thing,
I've
I've actually got more. So I've been corresponding with the guys who built this plugin, and about sometime on Tuesday, I had more contestants entered than I could export as a CSV. So like I've broken their export. So they're rewriting a more performant export routine so that I can get my names out.
Now wait a minute. And these are okay. And I've got a ton of questions for you. So let me start with this one.
Okay.
So you've got single opt-in and double opt-in, but you're capturing email addresses for both, right?
Right. Yeah. So I've got the single opt-in. The single opt-in option is I'm not going to use the single opt-in.
No.
No. Listen to me. Because I know I could seriously get banned from any autoresponder company. I could get banned for this because I know for a fact there are people who are fraudulently entering other people's email addresses, and I don't want to import those into my system because I will get blacklisted, and then I will get my account banned from Entreport.
Well,
so
wait a minute. You think that there's people that are using other people's email addresses to enter
I
the
know
contest?
Yeah, I know it's definitely happening to some.
Well, why
extent.
would they do that?
Because they get more entries.
Right.
They get
they can use
the email address, isn't it?
No. So you share. All right. You share your URL, right? Somebody else opens it from Twitter. Say they go to my giveaway page, and then they enter their email address, hit submit. You, as the original person who sent out that URL, get 3 credits for the giveaway. And so people, yeah.
So I'm going to go put in
it.
A at example.com, B at example.com, C at example.com.
Yeah, but those email addresses aren't So those won't get you blacklisted because those are just crap email addresses. They'll just get wiped off your list.
Right.
If they actually entered someone's real email address.
But if you get enough bounce backs, that counts against you. And then if you get enough spam complaints, that counts against you. And so any real addresses that get entered, are potential spam.
Okay. All right.
Complaints.
I've got a solution for you then. Here's what you do.
Double opt-in. That's what you do.
No, not double opt-in. Here's what you do. You take, because this is a huge number of email addresses, and you don't know, you have a theory that people are spamming it, but it might not be true, or it might be a lot smaller than what you think. Right. You've got to open up an Aweber account or just another, or what's that other one, GetResponse or whatever, right? And
I have my old MailChimp account still.
Import all the non-double opt-ins there, okay? Then just send them a couple start your email sequence there, right? And then see what happens. If you get a whole bunch of bounces, let them filter the crap out for you, right? And get all the spam reports there. That's fine. Yeah. Let that account get banned if you need to. But then export that list of all the valid email addresses and then bring that into your real system. I mean, because you don't want to waste like 100,000 email addresses that could be good on a theory. You know, I would.
I'm going to vote against John and say do the double opt-in.
Well, the other option is that I could do a sample, like 1,000.
Yeah.
And see what happens there. All right, I'm attempting to pull up my latest stats.
Okay.
Here.
And your server is crashing because there's 1 million people looking at it.
But seriously, think about this. Like don't just like you got to really think about this because what we're talking about here, the scale of what you're talking about, is, I mean, you're sitting on $1 million business right now.
Only you guys, those are valid people that actually want to be on the list, though.
Yeah.
Potentially, right? Like,
John's right. So, like, some percentage of these are probably a big chunk of them are valid. I just want to be really careful. I'm willing to play with it a little bit, but I want to be really, really careful how I do.
I'm usually the try it and fail and see what happens kind of person, but when it comes to this stuff, I absolutely hate getting signed up for people's email lists when I sign up for products and services.
And
now I'm asking people to do the same thing. So I'm going to do double opt-in because
Right.
It drives me crazy, and I don't want to do the same thing to other people that drives me crazy.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. All someone has to do, I mean, we're talking about people just having to click a one-button unsubscribe link in their email or delete an email. I mean, it's
Which
not
counts
like...
against you in whatever email list you're using.
Well, but that's why I'm saying is test it through Aweber or something else where you don't care.
Aweber you can't because they enforce double opt-in when you import names. But I could do it in MailChimp.
Yeah, I mean that'd be even another option is to just send it through Aweber and then it'll send out a double opt-in confirmation again.
That's true.
You'll probably get another 20,000 or so that will opt in. You know, or you can, or I mean, if you feel bad about here, Derick, I've got a compromise for you. He puts it on another account, right? On his MailChimp account, he sends out an email that just says, "Hey, I don't know if you signed up for this list on purpose or not. I don't want to be a spammer.
Fair.
I don't want to spam you. I have a lot of good stuff. If you did sign up, I have awesome Sublime Text tips that you'll love to get. I'll even, throw in this free bonus. Here's this free PDF or whatever." Bam! Just click here to just confirm that you like this.
I like that idea because that is a double opt-in,
right?
And that is very directly getting people to say, okay, you know what, I do want to be on this.
Yeah, I like that approach.
That's a good idea.
Yep. All right.
Okay.
So, good resolution.
All right. So, what's your numbers?
Drum roll. All right. So, I'm currently sitting at 279,428 entries. So that's people. Those are individual email addresses.
Are there that many people that care about Sublime Text?
Well, there are that many people plus a certain number of spammers.
Say that number again.
279,428.
279,428.
Okay, and how many are double opt-in right now?
I can't tell right now because I can't export my CSV data. But when I looked on Monday, when I only had 40,000, I was able to export it, and that I was seeing about a 1/3 rate. I think I had like 13,000 at that point.
Why can't you export it?
Because it's too big. Like there's too much data. I can't export it to CSV right now. Because their plugin uses I think it uses the standard WordPress database gateway or whatever, like some abstraction layer, and it's too much. I think it's partly I don't have enough CPU and memory because the server's getting crushed. So I can't do anything with this until the contest ends. Yeah.
Okay.
So you potentially have 100,000 double opt-in subscribers through this month.
Yeah.
That are interested in Sublime Text, right?
Yeah.
Because, holy crap! Like, do you realize? Like, I just want you to realize the scale of this because I thought about the scale because
seriously,
I've got a list of 4,500 people, right? I did the 4th of July sale. Now I'm selling a $300 product, which I had $100 off, so it was $200, right? And I pulled in about close to 10 grand, sending out a couple of emails over the weekend, doing a sale at a 4,500 person list. Now, if you have a list that's 20 times that amount, right? Now you're not selling a $200 product, but there's no reason why you couldn't sell a $100 or $200 product. But let's say even just your book, right? At what's the price? $25 or $30 now?
Right now I'm selling it at 22. I'm pretty sure I'm going to raise that to 29 before I start messing with these names. So
if you raise that to 29, right? And then you gave like some kind of discount, or maybe you raised it to 40 and you've given a discount.
I was going to do a 30%. So I have a story about a discount, how that went. I did that this week too, so we can come back to that.
Okay, but anyway, let's assume that you net like $20 per sale, right?
Yeah.
So like that's a tenth of the price of my course, but you're probably going to get twice or 3 times the conversion rate. So what I'm saying is that if you blast out an email to 100,000 people that are interested in Sublime Text, you might make like $40,000 in like 4 days.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Okay.
I could pay off my mortgage. Yeah, I'm realizing this is dawned on me over the course of the week. Like, I probably will be able to pay off my mortgage with this. Like, if it goes well, and assuming that it's not garbage, that the signups are actually good, and I got 30% double opt-in and everything. Yeah, I could seriously pay off my mortgage here. So it's pretty mind blowing.
And when I send you my affiliate link, you'll make more money off of my course than you'll make off of your book.
You'll make more money off of John's course than John will.
Yeah, basically.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been pretty overwhelming. It's been really actually a really stressful week because so on Tuesday at 11 a.m. my server fell over and started coughing up blood. It was basically I ran out of hard drive space. I only had like 6 gigs of hard drive for this thing because it was I made it like 2 years ago. It's like a tiny little server. And so it ran out of hard drive space, probably due to, I'm guessing, due to Apache logs. And so I haven't looked into that yet. But I increased the size and brought it back up. It was down about 20 minutes, and then the traffic went.
How the heck did it still go up? That's insane.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, and just okay. Here's another question I have for you.
Mm-hmm.
That traffic, right? Is that the only page on that site is just that giveaway like that they're hitting? Are there links to other stuff? Like are they exploring the site? Are they going to root?
Well, that's what's funny. There's no other links leading away from that contest. But people are going to the root domain and they're hitting like it's not a ton of traffic, but I mean I've gotten probably, 3, 4, 5 times the normal amount of traffic on the rest of my site. Just from people probably whacking off the the page and seeing what else I have. And I've gotten a lot of signups for my mailing lists, like just general. Actually, people already voluntarily finding their way over to my regular mailing list and signing up for that. So, and I've definitely I've seen a nice little uptick in book sales as a result. Like I've been selling at least one a day from DPD, which for me is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so crazy too because when you have 700 simultaneous users on there, they're not reading a blog post for 3 or 4 minutes. They're not clicking a damn button. So that's that's a huge. That's like having like 3,000 simultaneous users on my blog or Derick's blog.
Yeah.
That's how insane that is. They're just clicking a button to put their email address in, and there's that many people waiting in line. Right, and then getting server timeouts because they can't click the damn button. That is insane.
I know it's been crazy. But I've been. It's been really stressful week actually. I started off this week really well. So on Saturday, John, I decided to do your plan that you talked about last time, where you schedule the whole week out with Pomodoros and everything.
Oh yeah.
And so I did that on Saturday, and my week got started off kind of rocky because I put in 4 Pomodoros for buy minivan. All right.
Yeah.
So on Saturday morning, because we've been talking about buying a minivan for a long time, and finally found one at a nearby Honda dealership, and I was just gonna go there, and just buy the stupid thing and get home.
You should have put 8 Pomodoros.
That's about. So it took me from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. I got nothing else done that day. I did 1 Pomodoro of actual work, and then. And
very valuable tip for anybody that wants to buy a car. If you know what car you want to buy, tell the salesperson, I'm going to buy this car if you can get all of the paperwork done and signed in less than an hour. If you can't, I'm walking out the door.
I like it.
Yeah.
If you let them wait and wait and wait,
they'll wear you down.
They will make you wait because they know that you want the car, and they know the longer you wait, the more likely you are to just agree to whatever they ask for.
Yeah. So this was actually this was a really interesting experience from a business perspective. So I'll go into this a little bit. So the dealership that I found, so I was reading up on negotiating. I looked on the Art of Mailing This blog has a great thing about how to negotiate a car. So I read that. I formulated my plan, went to check their hours, and they said we're a no haggle dealership. And I was like,
That's bull crap. Yeah.
Well,
that's a lie.
The price that they listed for the car, no, they are really no haggle. They wouldn't negotiate on it. I tried and they wouldn't. But the price they listed was really fair. We did a bunch of research. We knew exactly what we wanted. We knew what color we wanted. Sure. And it was there was only 2 or 3 cars available in 100-mile radius that fit all of our parameters. So pretty much like I didn't have a lot of other recourse. So yeah, but so they did a really nice job. Like the dealership, like they cater to kind of like they're catering to like a class of people who have more money than time. And they did such a good job. Like I walked in there, like there was no hassles. Like everything was fine. Actually, the only reason it took as long as it did was because my wife's name was on the car we were trading in, so I actually had to come home, get the paperwork from her filled out, and go back. And then by the time I got back, there was somebody in line in front of me to get in the guy that was going to do the paperwork. Like they were tied up. Right. And they did hassle me a tiny bit about the warranty, which I turned down. But
good move.
Yeah. Last time I bought a car, I talked them into giving me the warranty for free.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I'm not really a good negotiator.
I'm usually pretty terrible about it as well. But somehow with cars, I managed to talk car dealerships into giving me all kinds of stuff. Yeah. It's like the only thing in my life I've ever been able to negotiate.
But I was happy to pay. Like, I am happy to pay at this point in my life a little bit more for a better experience. Yeah. And they know this. And I paid a fair price. I had no hassles. They were courteous to me. They weren't condescending or they tried to bully me. So that was great. Then we got the car home, and then on Tuesday the battery was dead. So
you should have got the warranty. I told you to get the warranty. What the heck? Why didn't you get the warranty, man?
So I jumped it, and I thought, so I drove it around a little bit, and then yesterday I went to the gym, and I actually got stuck at the Y. The battery just wouldn't start. I had a little jumper thing.
Sounds like a little either a dead battery or a bad alternator.
It was the battery. It was Honda certified, so they supposedly checked the battery already. But when I brought it in, they checked it and it was clearly bad, so they just replaced it for free because it was still it has a warranty for the Honda certified stuff. But yeah, so I drive down to the dealership. I got jumped at the Y. They jumped me. Geico sent somebody, and
wait a minute. A lizard jumped you at the Y? What the?
I think my meaning was clear there. If not.
Something's wrong with you, John.
Someone from yeah. It's the scotch, dude.
Yeah, no more scotch while we're on these calls, man.
So I drive down to the dealership though, and the experience, like I'm used to going to kind of bottom dollar car repair places, right? Like hole in the wall places. Usually, you find like somebody there. If you're lucky, you can find somebody who's really honest and is just like a small business guy. But they're always so rough around the edges, and they tend to be very like kind of condescending to people who aren't car people. Right. So I drive in. It was the most amazing thing. Like I drive in, they have a reception bay. At this Honda dealership. You drive in. It's a covered bay with ceramic tile flooring. Like it looks like a showroom. Right. Kid runs up, with a clipboard. Like takes all what's wrong with it, takes all my information down. I walk in there, just set up my appointment, and then go sit down. They've got this palatial waiting area with tables for people to work on laptops, and the kids' play area with toys. Like I don't care how much more this costs me. This is where I'm taking my car.
It's like paradise.
Because
I want to live here.
It has been. I know. It has been.
I broke my car again, guys.
Can I hang out here for the day?
We only have one vehicle in our family right now, that's just been such a hassle. We used to drive the car when we had two cars. We would drive one car, then we'd all transfer to the other one and drive it home and leave it there overnight, and then go pick it. And we were always worried about what time the stupid place closed. It was just, it was horrible, such a hassle. This is such an amazing experience that I will pay extra. I know I'm going to pay extra for service there, but I don't care.
Totally worth it.
Yep.
Yeah. For small.
You see, that's exactly what I want to do with Signal Leaf.
Yes.
I want to be
concierge service.
Yes. Yep. I want to be the guy that I'm paying a couple extra dollars, but wow, this is nice. I walk you through everything. I help you. I answer questions. I find resources for you because I'm doing that anyways. Mm-hmm. So I might as well be advertising it and getting people on board with that.
Yep.
So on the car thing, I wanted.
Yeah.
So this is how a smart guy buys a car, because I think that Josh is probably. I have no fear that Josh will answer these questions correctly. Okay, did you buy a new or used car, Josh?
I bought a 3-year-old car.
Bam! Right answer.
Nice.
Why did you do that?
Because the depreciation is steepest right off, that first year is the steepest depreciation. Yep. You also get past the initial glitches and everything. The easy stuff gets turned up and repaired.
Yep. One more reason.
Yep.
Because if it's older than 5 years, you cannot get it certified.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yep. Honda and Toyota are both. If it's more than 5 years old, so you wanna buy a used car that is between 3 and 5 years old. That's the best way to buy a car.
And that brought me to question 2, which is Derick already. Did you buy a Honda or a Toyota?
Right.
I bought a Honda Odyssey.
Good.
So, yep.
And then the next one is, how much did you pay for the car?
We paid, so it was, list price was I think $26,550 or $26,500, something like that.
Yeah.
And then they gave me like $250 off because it was there was a sale, and then we traded in our 14-year-old Taurus for $500.
Right.
So it ended up being about $27,500, I think.
But that's like a minivan, right, or an SUV?
Right.
Right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's the higher end model. Like we got there's 3 levels with the Odyssey. We got the middle one, the EXL, which has leather seats, which are nice to clean up for kids. It has the backup camera, so you don't run over the neighbor's children when they are playing in your driveway.
Yeah.
And it has a sunroof, which I kind of wanted. So.
Nice.
The only last question, which you might fail this question, is did you buy it cash?
I paid cash for it.
Yeah. Oh, you are my hero! I love you.
Epic high fives.
You win. You win.
Yeah, we've been saving up for. Yeah. We've known we needed a new vehicle for several years, so we've just we stocked away cash. That was part of. We have like an emergency fund and car fund. And so it was kind of sad to see that huge check go through.
Yeah.
And see my Mint account go.
Right.
But we paid cash.
So but that's great. See, I always tell people, like, man, I am the worst scouter when people try to buy cars at work. Like, I'd always talk to my coworkers. I'd be like, man, what are you gonna buy? Well, I'm gonna buy a new Honda Accord. Well, what's that gonna cost? $30,000. Like, really? If you had a suitcase right now with $30,000 cash in it, would you buy a brand new Honda Accord, or whatever it is? Would you buy that Lexus or whatever?
Yeah.
Or is it only because you can stretch it out over 6 years and pay $500 a month that you're going to buy? Like, if you had a suitcase, have you ever seen a suitcase with $30,000 in it? You know what kind of wild parties you can throw over the next 4 years, and TVs and computers and monitors and whatever other toys you want to buy. If you buy a $10,000 car instead, buddy,
go buy the top of the line Honda Civic for $21,000 and spend the other $9,000 on a giant TV, a new surround sound system, leather seats for the couch, put it in investment or something. Yeah.
I am grateful for people who buy new cars, though, because somebody has to do it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're used ones.
They're too big. Like, there's 3 big things that you can't screw up in your life if you want to be financially successful. The biggest things, right? One is buying a house. Like, don't pay too much for a house. Don't buy a house that's bigger and more expensive than you need. Don't get a bad interest rate. Like, be smart, haggle it, negotiate. If you save $10,000, $20,000, you're doing good, right? Number 2 is your job. Like, when you get a job, negotiate your career, like negotiate your pay, make sure you get, because that's going to make a huge difference in your life overall. Like, spend the time, it's worth it. And then number 3 is the car, because you buy cars like so many times in your life, and you end up, you could throw away so much money.
The cars are the absolute worst in that list as well, because your house and your career go up in value over time.
Right.
The moment you drive that car off the lot, it tanks in value.
Yeah. It's amazing. Like, we paid, I think, about $8,000 for the Taurus that we bought.
Yeah.
And sold it for $500, basically.
Yep.
I mean, after putting how many thousands of dollars into it over its lifetime, cars they're so awful. It's unnecessary. But
Yeah, people are often surprised. I have me and my whole family, my wife, and we just have one car. We have a 10-year-old Toyota Corolla,
Hmm.
and I'm not going to buy a new one until I need to and even then I'll probably buy a used one. Maybe I'll buy a new one now because it won't make much of a difference to me now.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, it's like, and we live in a small house. For being a millionaire, it's like people would not expect that we have one car and it's a 10-year-old
Right.
car, but
Right.
it's because hey, having a $50,000 car isn't going to make me get from point A to point B any better, right? It's
John is the large muscle-bound millionaire next door.
Yes, exactly.
But people make such bad mistakes on cars. I get so upset when people make such stupid mistakes financing a car over so many years and and just buying brand new cars as if it makes. I mean, hell, like for most people, like the best choice, for especially if you're single and you don't have a big family or everything, is just to buy like a $5,000 car.
Mm-hmm.
Because at lower than that, you're going to get something that breaks down all the time as a piece of crap. But if you look hard, you can find a good $5,000 car that's reliable and will last you a good 5 to 10 years.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, we bought a 10-year-old Honda Civic for like $6,000 once, and it lasted my wife for 6 or 7 years. And it ended up having a mechanical problem where it would literally just shut off while she was driving it down the highway. It was just gone. So that was, okay, we'll get rid of that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've had a couple of incidents with bad purchases. I bought the very first line of Honda Civic hybrids. This is 2004, I think it was. I put 150,000 miles on it, and the hybrid battery went out. I was actually told that the hybrid battery was supposed to go out at 80,000 miles. So the fact that we got 150,000 miles on it was good, but it was going to cost $8,000 to replace it, which wasn't worth it for us. So we ended up getting another Civic, not a hybrid, bottom of the line Civic.
Yeah.
Got as good gas mileage as the hybrid that we traded in. That's just how much the technology had improved in the 8 years since we had bought a car.
Yes.
So unfortunately, we did have to finance it at the time. We didn't really have an option, didn't really have a choice. But what I do, and what I've done with both of the cars that we have, is go ahead and do the financing. But I put like $1,000 a month on the thing, so I pay it off in 2 years or less instead of 5 years.
Yeah. See, that's smart. Yeah.
Yep. Minimizes the damage.
Yep. That way you don't end up paying 2 or 3 times more than it should have been.
Besides, the whole hybrid thing is kind of over. Like it's like
it wasn't for me. We actually did the calculations, and for most people, unless you're just trying to be green, the hybrid really isn't financially worth it. But for me, it was because I put 75,000 miles on that car in the first year.
Oh wow, yeah.
The gas savings more than offset the amount of overhead in buying a hybrid just in that first year.
Yeah.
Well, even the trying to be green, like it's like, okay, people don't seem to understand where does electricity come from.
Yeah.
Guess what? It comes from coal,
Right.
from coal plants that pollute the atmosphere worse than the car. It's like the same thing with recycling. It's like, dang, when you recycle all those cans and you feel so good about it, do you know where it goes to? A recycling plant, which is fueled by coal.
There are no trade-offs. I mean, everything's a trade-off, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah.
The best option is to not have a car.
That'd be if I lived in New York or San Francisco or somewhere where I didn't have to have a car, I would totally do that. But you know what? I've thought about either getting a motorcycle or a moped, but I can't ride a moped. I can't do it. I'm not
You would look hilarious on a moped, John.
That would be pretty awesome.
I can't figure. I would beat myself up if I would just have to kick my own ass.
That's so awesome.
Every time I see someone driving a moped, I'm like, man, I just want to kick that guy in his ass.
Wow.
I don't know.
All right. So my week started off with the best of intentions with the I mapped out my whole week with the Pomodoros like John does and everything, and it was actually really, really good to see how much time, I have a good idea now of how much time some of these tasks are going to take. So I was able to kind of see what I thought I could get done, and it wasn't very much. And then so then Saturday happened, and I completely got. It's sort of like Stephen Pressfield talks about how like when you finally start to get your act together, like resistance kicks in, and it will come in external forms. Like the stupid car battery thing. Occupied. It wasted a whole morning. I didn't get any work done that I was planning to get done. It just like this stuff just started, and then the contest kicked in. Mm-hmm. And that was just, I was really overwhelmed with that for a couple of days because I was getting, I get a fair number of emails from people saying, oh, I can't register because I can't confirm because your server's, throwing errors, and it's like,
poor Josh.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting like 40, 50, 60 emails a day from this related to this contest, and so yeah, it's just been so I completely got knocked off of my plans there for the entire week. I'm gonna try again this week though, because it worked really well for like the one day that I had in place, and I actually got a bunch of stuff done, and I felt really good about what I was getting done. So I'm gonna try again this week and hopefully not get knocked off. But I also did my first. So I also turned on my autoresponder sequence last weekend. So I had the first batch that was about 250 people go through the first week of my autoresponder, which is content, then a one-time offer for 30% off my book, and that expires at midnight. So I did that, and I got on Thursday yesterday, I sold 9 books out of that 250. So that was about 4%. I was thinking it would be 3 to 5% would bite on that, and if I can get that up to like closer to 5. Then I could buy ads at $1 a pop and make my money back in the first week.
Well, I don't think you're going to need to worry.
I'm not too worried about that anymore.
Nope.
I've got a. It's very intimidating to think about what to do with I now feel like I have this this thing that I have to care for and feed, even more than I did before.
But you built an empire overnight, that's insane. That's
so here's the thing, though. Until you have evidence that this is an empire, and not just a bunch of people blowing smoke into your mailing list to get something free, I wouldn't do anything different. I would do exactly what you've always been doing. Yep. And let the walls crumble down around you until you find out what your new baseline is.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Yep. I'm planning to. Well, my plan is to probably once the contest ends, import a batch of about 1,000 people, double opt-in people, into EntrePort, send them through my autoresponder, see how that compares to what I've been getting from my organic signups, and kind of judge from there. So what I've been thinking about this week is I don't have it. This is not an audience. These are leads, right?
Right.
So my current list is more of an audience. They're people that found me and like what I'm doing and actually are kind of signing up and endorsing what I'm doing. These are leads. These are almost like cold leads that I have to win over.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but I'm thinking that it's going to be somewhere in the 100 to 200,000 range when it's all said and done. I don't even know. Like, I'm going to actually talk to somebody at like the president of EntrePort or something. Seriously, like try to get them on the phone and say, look, I know this is going to look awful. I swear I didn't buy these leads. Here's how I did this, and you can talk to these people if you need to, because I could get instantly banned if I tried to import this. I mean, they want when you import leads into EntrePort, they want specific information about where you got them. Because you're not allowed to buy stuff and not allowed to buy email lists and stuff. So I'm going to be super careful about that. But it's going to cost an arm and a leg. Oh my gosh! Like to add 25,000 people to my list, like I get up to 25,000 right now.
Right.
To add another 25,000 is $100. So it's probably going to be. It might be another $300, $400, $500 a month just to bring all these people in.
Well,
so I better be able to make sure that I get a decent ROI off of.
here's where your negotiating comes into play as well,
Right.
right?
True.
Because what I would, when you talk to the president or whatever, which I'm sure you will be able to with the amount of people that you're importing, make it clear that Entreport is not your only option, that you
Right.
like Entreport, that you're promoting Entreport, that you're
Right.
going to promote Entreport to your list to some degree, right? Or that and just make it clear that you're not making any money off of these people yet, and that you can't really afford to pay X, and just basically phrase it to him like, what is the best that you can, what can you offer me, like what can you,
Nope.
Right.
and let him
Right.
name that. And I mean, any smart business person is going to realize that, hey, someone who's got a huge list I want to have, they're going to be valuable to me. I mean,
Yep.
in fact, if I'm him, I'm considering that like the fact that you're paying is a bonus, but I would have you on my service for free with a huge list, because you're going to reach so many people, and if you're successful and you say I'm writing this huge blog post and I'm using Entreport, then
Right.
I'm going to get way more than the money if I charge you
That's a good point.
$600 a month. But I'd rather charge you $0 a month and get 20 more people sign up that I'm charging $300 a month. So
Right.
It's a good point.
yeah.
Yep. So, all right. So yeah, that's my plan. So we'll see. We'll see where that goes. But yeah, I'm also, the only other thing is I've leveraged this into a conversation. I've managed to get Noah Kagan. I have an appointment with him on
Nice.
Monday to do an interview with him. So I'm gonna. Yeah, we've been emailing back and forth a little bit this week, and he's been kind of excited to see how this has gone. So.
Can you
That's
pick
awesome.
someone's ear over there and find out why my
I did
won't
email somebody. The
activate?
guy that I've been working with, I emailed him and asked about the activation. I'm wondering, they did just have a big sale, so I'm wondering if their activation server is having a little trouble because of that. But I haven't had any trouble. I've activated twice and not had issues. So.
Yeah, I've tried two different versions of the plugin. I downloaded one yesterday, didn't work. Downloaded an updated version today, didn't work. So if their activation server is having problems, they don't seem to be working on that because they're releasing updates for their plugin.
It's because of their anonymous usage statistics. Josh is bringing their servers to their knees.
Well, Josh's fault. Crashing their system.
Yeah, I did ping that guy that I've been working with, so
All right.
I'll let you know if he gets back to me about that. But
Yeah,
I did. Noah gave me actually a discount code so it's not active yet, but hopefully it will be soon. So if you go to joshuaearl.com/KingSumo giveaways and then use discount code JoshEarlRocks, that was Noah's choice, you can get 50% off, and I get a little commission out of that too. So it's not
Cool.
active yet. But
Right.
hopefully we'll be soon.
Yeah,
I will definitely be.
Yeah.
I will definitely be buying two more, provided I can get mine activated and actually use it. I'll be buying two more using your discount code because I need one for each of my sites.
Well, wait a minute. Don't buy them yet, Derick.
Why?
Wait until you need them. To absolutely need them. There's no rush.
Yeah,
Like,
I would buy one. I would
buy
run one contest
and run. Yeah.
see how it goes, because
Right.
I have no
right.
sense for how I think that what I'm seeing here is very atypical.
Oh, sure. Of course.
But I did see another report of somebody who had like 20,000 entries,
Right.
and he was giving away a virtual private server, like a year of VPS. So
Right.
that would be pretty. Even that would be pretty good. That would be 3,000 or 4,000 probably confirmed opt-ins at that
Yeah.
point. So
I was thinking about giving away either a Surface Pro 3 or a MacBook Air.
well, I'm very against that actually. Are you
Yeah.
serious?
Yeah, I am serious. Why?
Okay, because
It's not related.
it is not related enough to what you're doing. So you
Right.
need to find something. Noah's giveaway that he did that I modeled mine after. He gave away a five Seth Godin books.
Right.
Only people who are going to care about that are people who are
Oh, I
interested
see.
in marketing,
Yep,
which is
that
their
makes
audience.
sense. Yep.
So find something, like it could be like five career books, like Uncle Bob, throw a couple Uncle Bob titles in there. You know, it's
Oh
just like,
yeah, that's
you
a
know
good
what I mean?
idea. Yeah.
Yeah, or some software. Like I'm probably going to do one for my joshuaearl.com blog where I give away some sort of marketing software,
Right.
marketing related software.
Yeah, like I'm thinking about doing, the ultimate backbone ebook collection or something like
Right.
that, where I go grab 5 or 6 ebooks from the backbone authors out there, and that way it's not only related to me and what
Yeah.
I do, but it also gets other authors involved. They're going to probably tweet this out for me and promote it since they are, part of the prize package. So there's potential for getting a whole lot of exposure from doing this, and so I just need my license to activate. It'd be nice.
See, when you first said that you were going to do that, I was about to type an email and say, oh, I don't know if that's a good idea, because if someone reads 8 books, they're not going to read your book because that's too much information. But then I realized that only one person is going to win.
Right.
The rest of the people are going to be left hungry, and then you're going to have something for them to eat.
Yes, and I'm going to have them on my mailing list where I can say, look, I've got a plate full of food for you.
Yep.
Here's affiliate links for all of the other ones.
I feel like this is only going to last for maybe 6 months, because Josh, when you write your epic blog post about this, everyone is going to start doing this.
Wait until I get done with mine, okay?
I'm actually sensing the same thing, that this is going to be a bit of a gold rush.
Yeah.
And it's just nice. Like usually I hear about gold rushes before or after the fact.
Right,
yeah. And so this is a chance to get in on one at the ground floor,
It's interesting though.
The rush.
You are changing my mind on a couple of things though, Josh, this whole thing, because what I didn't realize how big a home run is, right? Because I've always been more of the mind of trying to hit the base. I mean, we had this discussion last week, right, about hitting the base hits. But if home runs can be at 1,000-fold scale like this, or 10,000-fold, then it might be worth, like taking 10 swings that miss and then hitting one home run. That's going to be equivalent to like 500 or 1,000 base hits, which is interesting.
I think to go with that analogy. Like I think if you're down 10 runs, probably not the best idea to go for the home run, right? But if you're down 1 run, you've got the bases loaded and 1 out or 2 out or no outs.
Right.
It might be a good idea, to start swinging for the fences. So I think where you're set up, John, is like, you're kind of in that position now where you could do that. Like I think a lot of people start out, they come out first inning and they're like,
I'm gonna hit a home run.
Yeah, and that's not a good idea. It's better to get some runs on the board anyway.
I'm still in the position where I just need to hit some base hits.
Yeah.
I don't have enough going for me at this point, especially considering all the crap that's gone on this week with me. I need base hits. I need singles. I need to just get something on base and build up my ability to swing and hit. Getting a home run would be great, but I don't think I'd be able to repeat it. It'd be a nice boost, and it would move me forward, but it wouldn't be repeatable for me. I need to learn the base hits first. I'm still learning the base hits, especially with Signal Leaf.
Yeah. So what's going on with you? We haven't talked about.
So I've got a lot of things going on right now, and it's stressing me out. Not a good kind of stress like Josh has. But
you're not getting beat up by lizards in the Y parking lot?
No, I'm not.
There's not saying they're thugs over.
Their tails break off, man. You grab them, the tail breaks right off.
Whack.
Yeah. And then they whack you with
their own tail. Yes. So last weekend I looked at how much money I was spending on sponsorships, and I realized that I spent more money on sponsorships in June than I earned in income. Okay. And that's not a good situation for me right now, because I'm actually depending on this income from Watch Me Code to pay for some of my bills and gas and food and things like that right now. It's not just extra money for me. It's not money that I can just reinvest and have a zero-sum or negative game and be okay. So that's not good. So I turned off my Twitter ads for my email courses. I turned off. I'm basically stopping sponsorships of podcasts and email newsletters and other things right now, which really sucks because I just had another email from a podcast that I've sponsored in the past that has done pretty well for me, saying, hey, you want to sponsor this next episode with this amazingly popular person? And I really want to do it, and I'm not sure I can because I've racked up like $10,000 in credit card debt just on my business card. That's not even talking about my personal credit card, which has also been eaten into.
So I take it you're not paying this credit card off at the end of every month.
I thought I was, but when I looked at it, I realized, holy crap, I'm not. I looked at the charges and I go, yep. They were all my charges. They were all legitimate, and they got out of hand. They got away from me. I did not realize how bad of a situation I was in. So I'm panicking right now from a financial status and really pulling back and trying to cut down where I'm spending money on everywhere, personal and professional here, and so that's also forcing my hand on Signal Leaf, which is a good thing because I have to get Signal Leaf going now. I have to start putting the time and effort into this to make it profitable. Another thing that I've been looking at for the last couple of weeks with another friend of mine is where the cost of my Amazon S3 bills are coming from, because I'm spending $600 a month on that right now.
That's insane. Okay, so we need to focus on this. What's the 90% there? Where's 90% of that $600 coming from?
One podcast.
Okay, here's what you need to do. I thought that was what you're going to say. You need to talk to that podcast person. You need to say, look, here's the deal. I love you. You're awesome. I love your values, because I think I know which one it is. Yep. And but here's the deal. It's costing me this much money. So you can two choices, and just tell them. It's like, I won't be offended either way. You're either gonna have to pay me like X dollars, like $500 a month. I know that's not part of the plan, but if you want to use my service, I have to do this. Otherwise, I have to ask you to go somewhere else. Here's Libsyn or here's I'll help you get set up. I'll still promote you. I'll still say you guys are awesome. And then maybe someday I can invite you back. Maybe you don't want to, but I think you have to lay it down and just to give them those two options. Because if you can eliminate $500 off of your S3 bill, I mean, you're not getting
a lot of money. That's
like you can't be altruistic here.
Yeah, that's more than half of your credit card debt over the course of a year, right? I mean,
it really is. I mean, I'm super excited that they are so successful. I am extremely happy that I've been able to be a part of their success. They actually have brought new customers to me, but not at a rate that will make up for the costs they are incurring anytime soon. And at this point, Watch Me Code is paying for Signal Leaf, which is part of the problem, which is part of why Watch Me Code, which is part of why I have to cancel or stop spending money on sponsorships for Watch Me Code, is because
there's nothing to pay
for that.
Watch Me Code
is having to pay for Signal Leaf right now. So I'm bringing in $175 a month on Signal Leaf right now.
Wow!
Which that's not bad.
It's almost profitable if you cut $500 off of your S3 bill.
Right.
Right. I mean, it's basically breaking even at that. I mean, you have some
other costs. It would be pretty dang close to. It may actually be profitable if that one podcast were either paying for itself or not hosted with me, which I hate the idea of them not hosting with me, but
I mean, and you can be real upfront and just show that. I mean, like, you're not even trying to make any money off of them. You're just trying to not lose money.
And here's the deal, right? Here's the thing. Like, okay, if I'm making a whole crap, I mean, okay, if their podcast is that successful, they're making money off of the podcast, right?
Yes.
I mean, yes, they are. It's absolutely right. So if I'm that successful and I'm making money off of my podcast, if you say, hey, I need extra X $100 a month.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, no problem. Here you go, right? Because it's something that's enabling me to make money.
Right.
Now, I mean, you got to give them the choice and be honest with them, of course, and say, like, you can go somewhere else and they might charge you less. But if
Yeah.
you want to stay with me, I have to do it only because of a financial, because I can't go to the poorhouse to,
Right.
but there's a pretty good chance that they're going to say, hey, yeah, go ahead, man. Yeah, don't, you're not raping them, but yeah, what do you need? You need another
Right.
$300 a month? Okay, sure. And then that kind of sets you a precedent. Then maybe you figure out that there's this plan for, you have this little asterisk at the bottom that says, unless you exceed so much, then we'll talk or whatever.
Right.
But or maybe you don't even have it. You just have the conversations when you need to have the conversations.
Yeah, I mean, there is precedence for that in the podcast hosting industry. Libsyn actually does that. I mean, honestly, Libsyn has enough customers that they absorb customers like this, no problem. But they do have a tier of, look, if you're going past this, we're going to get you on our professional services.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a lot more money and all that kind of stuff.
It's like the same thing with my accountant. I know my accountant is charging me more money because she knows how much I make.
Right.
But I'm not. But I'm like, well, I mean, it's okay, fine. I'll pass on a little bit of the I'm not going to go and nickel dime and search for the cheapest accountant. I'm using the person that I trust, and I'm saying, okay, I understand that you're going to charge a little bit more. It takes a little bit more work. I mean, the scale is not quite the same. I know that I'm not paying quite to the scale, but I'm paying more. And I'm like, but I don't mind because you're helping me to manage the money that I'm making, and as I'm making more. And I think it's the same. Just don't be afraid. You can't be altruistic here. It's just it's not going to work.
I mean, there's a part of me that wants to say, hey, I love what these guys are doing and I want to sponsor it, but because I am so in the hole financially with this,
you gotta do what you gotta do for sure. Hell, I mean, in business, that's the thing, is you gotta separate business from I'll give you an example, right? I have a rental property in Idaho, 2 office spaces, and one of them is rented out to a church group, and the other one's another. Basically, they're two church groups, right?
Right.
And they operate on donations, but I charge them rent. But I pay I pay 10% of everything I make to the church or to a basic to charity, right? I take 10% of but that's a separate thing. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? I keep the business. I don't even want to mix that. I could say, well, I'll take part of my tithe, and it'll just be I'll give give them the space to meet. But I don't want to mix that at all. So I'm like, no, I charge money for business things. I don't ever give away business things for free for my. And then when at the end of the day, when I get my check, then I take a percentage of that, and then I donate that. Even if I donate it to the same cause, it's I want to keep it very, very clear that there's otherwise it's the relationship becomes weird. It's you're compelled, and then you don't know, and then it's not a business anymore.
Which is exactly what I'm feeling right now.
Yeah, so don't be afraid to do that. Be I mean, if you want to give them back after they've paid you $500 or whatever it is or whatever it ends up being, and you want to say and I'll donate $50 to the cause, or hey, when you guys give me this money, I'm going to take so much and I'm going to give it to X charity or whatever. Fine, but you got a business has to be a business, and it has to be for one. Businesses only exist for one purpose on this earth, which is profit.
Right. And so I've in figuring all of this out, I've been trying to find a way to figure out what's actually causing all of the income. So we did a correlation 2 weeks ago. We looked at when Watch Me Code subscription service launched versus cost. And we did see a significant spike at that time. So we were like, oh, okay, probably a big chunk of this is from Watch Me Code. So I re-encoded all of my videos. I cut the file size down to 25% on average on Watch Me Code. And I saw an increase in the amount of traffic and cost the next week.
Wait a minute. Say that one more time. You did what?
I cut the file sizes for Watch Me Code to 25% of the original. And the next week, my Amazon S3 traffic increased.
Well, okay, so did it increase because more people subscribed or more people downloaded them faster?
No, it's not about speed. It's about what's actually causing the cost. So my
Oh,
assumption
it's
was
not
that
good.
Watch Me Code was costing all this money.
It's
Yeah,
not.
I'm paying for Watch Me Code. I think it's costing me. It's probably costing me $100 a month for Watch Me Code videos right now to stream them and give them for downloads.
Dang, you
Probably
should have
is.
had two accounts. You might split them out.
Yeah, I'm thinking about doing that. But until I do that, what
Yeah.
I did is I signed up for this Amazon log service to parse my logs. It's like
Nice.
s3stat.com, I think it is, and 30-day trial and all that, and took a day to get the logs processed and everything. But it's pretty dang slick. It shows me some pretty good information, and it showed me, where my actual traffic was coming from. And actually, let me pull it up. On Tuesday, so I have this pattern. If you look at my daily cost on Amazon S3, I have a pattern where Monday is extremely expensive, Tuesday far less, Wednesday far less, and it just curves down. So it starts.
What comes out on Monday?
What comes out on Monday? Exactly. This one podcast does. And so
Yeah.
I'm looking at my traffic. I've only got 3 days worth of logs right here. I'm looking at Watch Me Code, and Watch Me Code has done 3 gigs of data transfer in the last 3 days.
And how
Now,
much
Signalleaf
Yeah.
has done 500 gigs of data transfer in the
All right.
last 3 days.
The path is clear, my friend. You know what you got to do.
220 gigs of which are one episode of this
Oh my
podcast.
Wow.
Yeah, it's clear. It's clear what you got to do. You got to.
The entire list, the top 10 list on files for Signalleaf come from this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that seems like an effort that was worth putting in to figure
yes,
it out.
it definitely was. I really like this S3 stat service.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only like $10 a month, totally worth
Right.
it. So there's that. On top of that, I've got multiple problems with multiple accounts being mashed together. So there's S3, which I just explained. I need to split
Mhm.
Signalleaf and Watch Me Code, which I expected that to not be a problem because you can have multiple buckets, and each bucket is a separate thing. But when you get billed, it doesn't tell you how much is coming out of each individual bucket. So the log service, maybe the log service will be good enough because I can figure out how much it's costing me from there.
Right.
So maybe the S3 I don't have to worry about so much. But on the Stripe side of things, that's causing me problems because I need to be able to see my customer value and churn rate and all that stuff for Watch Me Code versus Signalleaf. I need those things to be separate.
Right.
Yeah.
So I got in contract with Stripe, and they said, yeah, sure, no problem. We can copy your existing customers over to your new account for Signalleaf. Just give us the information, which customers.
Nice.
So they did that, and that's awesome. Stripe's customer service is phenomenal. Really like that company. But they only copy the customer info. They won't copy they copy the customer and credit card info, which is great because it prevents my customers from having to re-enter their credit card info.
Right.
But they won't move the subscriptions over. So I have to build a tool for myself to move the right customers into the right subscription, which
I see.
I understand why they want to do that. They want to make sure that they want me to make sure that I'm moving everything appropriately because there are a lot of details in there that could easily get screwed up, and it's frustrating, it's annoying, but I'm okay with that. My plan and what I had intended to start this morning is to finally build an admin tool for Signalleaf because I've been needing one for a long time for my reports anyways. I run command line reports, literally run a command line queries against my services in order to get reports on traffic and customers right now. So I need an admin tool for this. And so this is kind of the impetus to drive that, which I spent Monday building an authorization framework for Node.js apps, which I need for this. I've got a really hacky version of it in place in Signalleaf, but I wanted a proper tested well done authorization framework. So I built one. It works pretty well, needs some work, but it's pretty good. So I need to build that tool, which is adding time and effort, which is going to take away from really the marketing side of SignalLeaf that I need to get on. I got Perry Marshall's
The AdWords book.
AdWords book.
Yeah.
Started reading that. Really, really well done. I actually think the AdWords book on its own is good, but without having read the 80/20 marketing book, I'd be floundering really badly with just the AdWords book. I think these two books should be read in the order that I read them, actually. I think you should read 80/20 marketing first and then get into the AdWords side of things.
He actually, on one of his sales pages, I found a letter. Somebody emailed him and complained about the 80/20 stuff when he started promoting that. He's like, you're the AdWords guy. I just want to hear about AdWords from you. And
so Perry's
like, well, but the only reason that I am the AdWords guy is because of the 80/20 stuff.
Right.
I figured the 80/20 thing out, and that actually feeds. You can see that. Like I've started reading the AdWords book, and you can see the undertones of the 80/20 stuff sprinkled throughout. Like that is what made him good at AdWords.
Right. Exactly.
Figuring that out.
Exactly, and so I'm approaching AdWords. I'm spending $5 a day on SignalLeaf ads right now, and it's doing terrible, which I expect. I've got like a 0.7% click-through rate or something. It's ridiculously low, but I'm fine with that right now because I'm using this as the learning experience, which he advocates doing. Spend $5 a day or $10 a day, and then start improving. And I'm going to start improving. I'm going to be putting in the effort to remarket SignalLeaf as the concierge podcast host, which is really, it's what I do anyway, so I might as well be advertising it that way. It's what we've been talking about forever.
And that's the right route for SignalLeaf, I think, the AdWords, because
you're
not really building a community, getting the organic traffic is going to be so difficult for that because your head isn't in that all the time. Like for your other stuff, the organic way is the way to go to start. But I think for SignalLeaf, it makes a lot more sense to use the paid advertising.
Your per customer value is high enough that you can afford it. Right. You can afford to spend a couple dollars, $1 a click, or $2 a click. That would be good. That would be a good price on AdWords from what I've seen.
I have a $2.50 click limit right now. When the tools are actually pretty darn slick on Google AdWords at this point. A year ago when I tried it out, they were awful, and the screenshots in this AdWords book reflect a year ago. But
they're coming out with a new one, I think, in this fall.
Yeah, and so I'm using them now, and they're actually pretty slick. I'm quite impressed with how much they've come along. So there's that, which is also stressful. I've got all this work to do with SignalLeaf. I'm rapidly falling behind in my contract with Pragmatic Programmers to redo my Backbone plugins screencasts, or my Backbone hands-on screencasts. I really need to get on that, but it's, do I focus on that or do I focus on SignalLeaf? It's kind of the dilemma.
Don't worry about SignalLeaf for now. Focus on that because that's immediate income. That's guaranteed income. SignalLeaf is not guaranteed income. The other thing I was going to say is I wanted to ask you about your the Watch Me Code, the advertising you're doing for that, for the podcast. Are you actually getting, how much are you paying? Are you getting subscribers? Do you know? Can you kind of ballpark the lifetime revenue? Because you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot here. Because
Baremetrics is allowing me to do that. That's okay. I love Baremetrics, but in my situation, it's horribly expensive. If I were more profitable, it would totally be worth it. But I'm wondering if I should cut my Baremetrics subscription until I become more profitable with things.
You definitely need to start cutting as many expenses that don't add to your bottom line. But my big question is, the podcast that you're sponsoring, will it add to your bottom? Will it show a net gain over 12 months?
I'm going to have to figure that out. I'm going to have to do some more crunching with the S3 stats to figure out what percentage of the cost is actually them and all that. But in terms of customer lifetime value, on Watch Me Code, my average customer lifetime value for let me just pull it up. Average lifetime value. Click, come on, load. Apparently I'm hitting my bandwidth limit. All right, so customer lifetime value for monthly subscription on Watch Me Code is $63. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's
I'm happy with that. $63 average lifetime. The number of people that have subscribed. So there's one podcast in particular that I'm sponsoring, JavaScript Jabber. I love that podcast. I love sponsoring them. They have brought in, where's the JavaScript Jabber? They brought in 43 customers in the last 2.5 months. So
do not stop. I mean, how much are you paying for that sponsorship?
$1,000 a month. That's their standard price. So at 43 customers, I'll cut this month in half, or actually into a third because we're only 10 days in.
Yeah.
So I'm going to divide my total cost. They actually get. So I'm going to add those total costs together, divided by 43 customers. I'm looking at $45 cost per customer to get a new customer from JavaScript Jabber.
Oh.
Just from the ads.
Yeah.
Or your
so
other...
it's costing me $45 to get a customer with an average value of $63.
Right. I don't know if I think you're
That's
right.
a really close margin.
Yeah, but it's not super. It's not awesome, right? So
right.
So it really seems like at this point you should cut it. I agree with you. $1,000 a month is a lot of money, right? And
especially when I'm only bringing in $2,500 a month.
Right.
Yeah,
and there are other ways to get customers, like I found.
Right.
And it's going to drop over time, right? The more you advertise on there, the more people have heard it that are the regular listeners, right? I mean, to some degree, that's going to eventually it's going to drop off, and then you're not going to be able to. So maybe if you restart it later. I mean, right now, I don't know. How close are you to survival mode? This is the question. Like, I mean, both. And here's another thing, right? If you need serious financial help, right? Both me and Josh can help you.
Right.
Right. Like
I'm not at that point yet.
Okay.
I'm taking measures now so that I won't get to that point, because I've done that before. I've literally emptied every one of my bank accounts. 3 years ago, I did this when I was doing consulting because I thought that my screencasts were going to become profitable at the time, and they didn't. And so I literally emptied my bank accounts, and we had to cancel TV, lawn service, maid service. We canceled everything for a number of months, and I worked, 150 hours worth of hours for a project that paid me for 80 hours.
Yeah.
Just so I could have some income.
Yeah.
It was awful. So I'm doing things now so I don't end up in that situation.
Because right now, I mean, the biggest thing you've got going for you right now is the Watch Me Code is I mean, you're getting $2,000 a month of recurring revenue from that service.
Yeah.
If you can grow that thing, and that's like, if you have to shit can Signally, if you have to do, I mean, hopefully you don't. I mean, if you can do something with the one customer that's costing you the most money, then you're floating, then you can even put it on the back burner for a while you work on. I mean, you got to get number one. You got to pay off that credit card debt, because that's going to bury you. Because that interest rate is going to bury you alive. So you've got to make that your number one priority. Whatever you got to do to get that, cut all your other expenses. Like, get that thing paid down, focus on the Watch Me Code you might even have to put the Watch Me Code somewhat on autopilot for a while and focus on getting more consulting hours to kill that credit card debt.
Yeah.
One other option too, Derick, is you've done very well, I think, with 3-day summit type of things. So if you find yourself against a wall, you could put together some kind of training, in training intensive 2-day seminar type of thing. Right. And that you could honestly probably knock out that credit card debt with something like that.
Yeah, it would take a fair amount of effort to get it in place,
Right.
but it would I could probably bring in 15 or 20 grand for a couple of days of training seminar and a couple of weeks worth of
Right.
effort to put it together.
And
Right.
if you've got something already too, like I can send out in the PS in one of my emails to
Right.
my list, and I'll definitely get you at least one or two customers for a couple of day training. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
but
so I have options. I'm never going to starve because I'm lucky enough to have a wife that has a paying job and she makes enough that even if we had to sell the house and move into an apartment, we would never starve.
yeah,
But I'm doing my best right now to make sure that we don't end up in that situation. So
yeah.
cutting expenses, not canceling, but stopping new sponsorships, things like that are gonna save me a couple $1,000s a month right now, which I'll be able to put back on the credit card without eating into my savings account and be able to get out of that debt. It's
So,
probably going to take me the rest of the year, but
so
I'll be able to do it.
here's a question. Like this is uh, like you have a savings account, but you have credit card debt. Shouldn't you just take your savings and put it into the credit card so you don't have credit card debt?
That runs the risk of not being able to get out of an emergency situation.
But you have a credit card that you'll have a limit on, right? I mean, the credit is as good as cash for the most part, except for paying mortgages and some utilities,
Right.
right? So I mean, credit card debt is going to cost you on average 19% interest rate. So I mean, my basic advice would be take all your savings, pay off the credit card, reestablish savings as opposed to because you're treading water, but you've got a big weight tied to your back. Like get the weight off your back, then tread water.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there. That goes in line with the way I think about expenses, anyways. The thing I want to do before I do that, though, um, I legitimately have a problem managing money, and I've known this for years. I'm getting better, but it's still a problem, quite obviously, with the situation I'm in. So what I need to do first is get myself in a situation where I'm already getting out of debt.
Yeah.
I need to pull back my expenses, figure out where I actually am with my income, figure out where I need to be with my income versus expenses, and know that, yes, I am paying off my debt.
Yeah.
Once I am doing that, then I would be okay with, okay, let me take this one lump sum, and instead of paying off the debt, I can start putting it back in savings.
So this is actually, we don't have any credit cards.
Good for you.
This is why, actually, because I'm pretty fiscally conservative. My wife is much better at it than I am. She's really good with managing our money, so I try to let her do as much of that as possible.
Right.
But for me, it's super tempting. Like I really want a Surface Pro 3 right now, and it is it would be so tempting if I had a credit card to just go, I'll pay that off, and I probably would. But there's a chance that I might not,
Yeah, see, I had my personal credit card, and I had both of my credit cards down to nothing. I mean, they were gone.
Yeah.
And then Watch Me Code, starts up, and I start doing sponsorships, and then Signal Leaf starts eating into S3 costs, and then, I mean, honestly, without my credit cards, I wouldn't be in business right now. But now I'm in a really bad situation where I need to get out of this.
Yeah. See, that's why, I mean, I'm not going to do the I told you so, but I was really stressing you not to quit your job right away. but it's fine. I mean, you're in the situation that you're in. So the important thing is to get out of the situation, get out of the credit card debt. I mean, it's weird. Like I know that it sounds weird coming from me, but man, I lived so financially responsible for such a long time. I mean, me and my wife slept on a mattress on the floor for a couple of years. Like I seriously, like, in order to be able to try and get to where I was, like, for the real estate investment, like, we literally sacrificed and, like, lived as fiscally responsible as possible. So So, like, I'm not. The reason why I'm prefacing that is because when I'm giving you some financial advice, I'm not saying it like, "Oh, well, just look at your checkbook and say, look, I don't care," because I'm in a better situation now where I don't really have to balance my checkbook.
Right.
But I was in that situation, and I'm telling you, like, from experience, like, you just have to cut all your expenses, kill the credit card debt, and make sure that, like you said, I think you've got it right, which is that you have to live far below your means. Right now, you're living above your means. Right. You have to cut it. Once you're living below your means, you're making forward progress in your savings. Yep. But
and I was doing that like even before I went to Derick for an entire year in my consulting. I was paying down debt. We were doing really well. We were building up a huge savings account. When I went to work for Derick, it moved up even faster. And then I just got stupid in the last 6 months here.
Well, it's easy to. I mean, it's
not stupid. It's just called like you take your focus. Like you can only focus on. I'm only able to focus on one or two things at a time.
Right.
And like right now, I can really focus on like working out, or really focus on getting up to speed on SitePoint and getting that launched. Like I can't do both. So you have to put one on autopilot. Sometimes when you do that, things happen and it starts to crumble a little bit.
Yep.
It's tough. It's really tough to maintain that level of intensity on multiple fronts.
But
All right. So to end things on a positive note, because I got to go, but one last positive note. My 2 blog posts this week have been doing really well.
Yeah.
Actually one from last week, the build your own app-specific REPL for Node.js apps. That got into the Node.js Weekly, which is awesome. That's been getting like 4 or 5 people, on average, looking at that article since it was in that.
And number 1 on there, right? It was the first one.
Yeah, first link in that issue, which was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And then my post from yesterday, the 5 stages of a SaaS.
I love that one. Yeah.
That one's been doing really well. Just a few minutes ago, I had 30 people looking at that one.
Nice.
I have to read you a quote about that post, okay? Because I posted it on Facebook. I shared it through Buffer.
Okay.
And my mom commented on the post. She said, "I didn't quite understand it, but I think I like it!" Exclamation.
That's great. If you're getting people
awesome.
who are in no way related to, have nothing to do with a SaaS app reading it, just because it's entertaining, that's a pretty good sign. That was an excellent blog post.
It was really good, and I loved
the illustrations. That was really made it. I keep going back and looking at those illustrations and going, man, I really nailed those.
It's like you're the oatmeal of JavaScript development.
Yep.
It was just I was sitting at my client's office yesterday, working on other things, working on client work, and it just, I got to do this. Okay, let me draw these. Let me write this. Post it. It was. So there's that, and then there's leanpub.com. Currently has me listed as the highlighted book on the homepage. Nice. I'm number 1 best-selling book for the week.
This is insane.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. When I saw that, I was just thinking this morning when you sent that email, I was like, it feels to me like the world is so damn small, because it's like, hey, it's like the 3 of us are showing up like on like Josh has been the number 1 best-selling book on LeanPub, and Derick has been the number 1 best-selling book on LeanPub, and then like you listen to a podcast, like when I turned on the Herding Code, and I was like, oh, it's Derick on there again, and it's like it's just weird. It's like I don't know, like success tends to, I don't know, you form this
success
group
breeds success.
Exactly. Yep.
It does. So I've sold about 40 books since Monday on LeanPub.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that's pretty awesome. Those are definitely some positive notes to all of the difficulties that I'm having. But I really appreciate the advice. I was going to ask you guys about that podcast, and I was going to ask the question of, should I ask them to re-encode at a lower bit rate, even though they are not breaking the terms of their account size? But I really like the approach that you suggested, John, of having that conversation with them to say, look, this is how much money you guys are costing me every month, and I'm underwater because of it, and I need to get out of this. So pay me, or I'll help you go somewhere else.
Yeah, yeah. I think that, I mean, there's no shame in doing that. I mean, it feels bad like that you created that service, but the truth is the truth. Like, you got to make sound financial decisions, and and I mean, you got to survive.
Advantage of you, I mean, like if they knew the situation, they probably would feel really bad.
Yeah.
Right. Suffering in silence is not really, doing anybody any favors. So.
Yeah. Now things are. I mean, you just got to if you get that credit card debt paid off. I mean, you're in a really good spot right now with the Watch Me Code. I mean, I feel like that's your number one thing, because that's a recurring revenue. You've got that going. Like you can grow that. I mean, and it didn't take you. How long did it take you to get to 2,000 subscribers? Or I mean, not 2,000.
$2,000 a month. It took me a month to do that.
Right. So the thing is, like in 2-3 years from now, you could be at a point where that's like $6,000, $8,000, maybe $10,000 a month.
I hope so.
I mean, if you hit that point, you're good. You're golden. You're on autopilot. Like you're winning. So make sure you live long enough to be able to do that. So if you gotta sleep on mattresses or whatever you got to do to be able to get to that point, if you got to shut down Signal Leaf, if you've got to quit doing other things to get to that point, then do it. I mean, if you've got to do the consulting to be able to pay the bills and up those hours so that you can make sure that Watch Me Code survives, do it, because I think that's your ticket, because that's got it doesn't have a cap potential on it. Like, there's so many developers out there that have to develop with JavaScript. Like, you've got a huge audience. This is where this is where you hit home runs with your blog posts. Like, this is your zone. So this is your focus area. So this is where you've got to grow this thing, because once you get to the point where you're making like $6,000-$7,000 a month on this thing, then you're fine. Then all your problems disappear. So
one more thought, well, two kind of related thoughts. So, Derick, we've talked about whether you could offer like a year worth of advance payment on Watch Me Code. And one thing I was thinking about this week is, what if instead of doing that, like, you don't want to do that because, and I totally agree, I wouldn't want to do it either. But what if you pre-sold like just 3 months at a time? And you always had 3 months worth of episodes in the bank, so you could walk. I mean, you're working ahead now. Yeah, you could, and then if you feel like you're burning out, just take that option down, and then you don't have to. You're free and clear. So what I was going to say is, like, John McIntyre's been talking to me about this. Like, we need to find ways to upsell for you. Like, $14 a month is great, but
which isn't even my
average.
My average is actually $9 a month.
Okay, well, 20% of those people are willing to spend a lot more.
Right.
But you don't have anything to offer them right now. So, what kind of upsells can you put in place? Like, and one easy one would be 3 months. 3 months of the subscription.
But that's not an upsell though, because that would actually be a discount.
Well, it's an upsell in that you're getting more. You'd have to do the math, but it probably would work out that your lifetime value would increase.
But 3 months might be a discount, but 12 months is not. Just go balls to the wall. You have to do this, Derick. Like, you're not going to starve, right? I mean, right? You're going to create these videos for a year at least. You're not.
So
you see what I'm saying? Like, just do it.
Consider this though. I have a plan for small teams at $100 a month.
Yeah.
And when you do the math, it comes out to $9 a month per person on your team. If you use up the quote limit on that plan. I've had 0 subscribers, 0 companies take me up on that offer, even though I've had a dozen companies ask me for this.
Yeah. Well, that means that offer, like, so what that could mean is that the people that work at companies aren't your customers.
Yeah.
Perry Marshall had a thing in one. I think he mentioned in the 80/20 book, but he tried to sell. This was in the seminar that he did on 80/20. He tried to sell an info product to. It turned out that he was trying to sell to people that were working in sales departments at large companies, and they had no purchasing power.
Right.
And it turned out that small entrepreneurs were the ones that were going to eat up what he had to offer.
Mm-hmm.
So that doesn't necessarily mean that that no one's willing to spend that amount of money. It just means
True.
that what you're offering, that particular offer, isn't working.
Right.
So
true.
Yeah, plus the way that enterprise sales is a whole different ballgame. Let me tell you from the Health Hero company that I'm working with that Dream It that I turned down. The dude that Anthony that's doing the enterprise sales is like.
I really do gotta go, guys.
Okay.
all
All
right.
right. Sorry. My wife has to leave, and I need to take care of my daughter.
Okay, no
All
problem.
right. See you guys.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Talk to you guys next week.
Wanna start a business, but you just know how to code. Listen to John, Josh, and Derick as we figure it out. We are the EntreProgrammers, and we'll teach you straight up to be developers.